And right after this, we'll have an episode of Kent Film Club. But did you know many of your favourite films were actually inspired by novels? To test Chris Deacy's knowledge, he's very kindly volunteered to join me in the studio to talk about World Book Day and all sorts of films that were inspired by books. So I've got a bit of a quiz here for you. It's been put together by some of our fantastic production assistants. So how do you think you're going to do is my first question.
Well, good question, because in some cases, of course, they change the titles. Or in some cases, you might like a film out of Jaws or something and not realise it may have come from a source novel. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have a look. I actually completely forgot that Jaws was based off a book. So let's have our first. Let's have a look. So I'm going to give you 3 films. It's up to you to decide which was not based on a book. So 10 Things I Hate About You, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Scream.
OK, Scream, I would say, because 10 Things I Hate About You, if you say it really quickly, it sounds like The Taming of the Shrew. Confession, I saw this at the cinema in 1999, and only later when I read the reviews did I realise it's the Shakespeare story. Then again, so many films aren't there? You think, oh, it sounds like Cain and Abel. So, you know, there are so many with those sort of legendary, almost like mythical themes. But Fantastic Mr. Fox, yeah, so Scream is the odd one out.
Scream, you would be absolutely correct. Actually, you've educated me here, because I always, my sort of fun fact was always like, oh yeah, did you know that this film is Taming of the Shrew? And I never realised that if you say it fast enough, it's Taming of the Shrew. Yeah. Another one, fun fact, the Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell film, the name escapes me at the moment, Anyone But You, was based on, I believe, Much Ado About Nothing from Shakespeare.
It was, and
yes.
I saw that at the cinema. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And I didn't realise until later, because Much Ado About Nothing is my favourite Shakespeare. Yeah. Look at our next one. Right, so The Social Network, Pan's Labyrinth, and The Godfather.
Well, obviously, The Godfather, Mario Puzo. Social Network, I'd be astonished. I mean, it could have come. It was Aaron Sorkin did the screenplay. And so, no, that would be original. Pan's Labyrinth feels like it's come. I mean, it's obviously Del Toro is such a visionary filmmaker, but he would have drawn on all sorts of mythology in the framing of that.
Absolutely. I feel we've almost tried to trick you here. Yeah. Maybe in your own head you were sort of trying to go, well, would they have been mean enough to say, well, it is based on a book, Facebook, but no, you are absolutely correct. Pan's Labyrinth.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Pan's Labyrinth is not based on a book. Let's have a look at our next one. Your films are Gone with the Wind, It Ends with Us, and Back to the Future.
The one that's not from a source novel is Back to the Future, for sure. Gone with the Wind, legendary, yes. And Ends with Us, I mean, hugely controversial in so many ways. But Colleen Hoover, and there's a new film based on something that she's written. I like the way they say best-selling phenomenon, because that's what it is. They sell out. And I've been in the audience, and it's just actually packed out, often with teenagers, young people.
Well, absolutely. That one, again, was a slight trick. You did get it right. Back to the Future absolutely is not based on a novel. But the film and book combo is called a novelization, because the film came first, and there was a book created after the film's release. Let's have a look at our next one. Your films are Trainspotting, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, that's easy, obviously. Lewis Carroll. Trainspotting, I think I've read the Irvin Welsh. So I'd say Nightmare on Elm Street.
You would be, again, correct. So far, so good. Absolutely right. Alice in Wonderland, obviously based on the original work, which actually was written where I'm from, in Surrey, back around in Dorking, I believe. Trainspotting, as you're very right there, also based on a book. OK, let's have a look at our next 3. The Parent Trap, Beetlejuice. Is it Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, or just well, no, I can't say it 3 times. And Shrek.
Don't be careful.
No, I'll be careful. What of these do you think?
Ooh, well, The Parent Trap, now, of course, based on an earlier film from the 50s, well, early 60s. Ooh, now Beetlejuice is so Tim Burton. I don't think that's come from a source. And Shrek, again, you see, it's like with some of the other examples we've given, so steeped in folklore that it's both original and visionary, but also couldn't have been made if it wasn't for the fairy tales of time gone by.
I'm going to have to press you for an answer. What do you think?
I'm going to go Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, you would be correct, is not based on a book. Shrek was based on a children's book. The Parent Trap was also based on a book. So very well done there. Our last one, here we go. Star Wars, A New Mindhunter, and, Holes, I should say, and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, no, I'd never thought of Mrs. Doubtfire in this way, but I think there is a source material for this. I mean, Star Wars, well, unless you go for Joseph Campbell and all the work on myth, which has been done before, because this is the film that often people point to as having, the hero's journey. Although The Wizard of Oz, I would argue, does that very well and was, 40 years earlier. Hold, I'm not so familiar with, but I'll go for Star Wars.
You have been 100% correct. You've passed with flying colours. This one was another trick. The book and the film were both originals in their own way. The film produced first, but the book was released before the film. The other two, Hull's particular favourite of mine when I was young, both based on books. So well done. You've passed with flying colours, and I'll reward you with this question. What is your favourite adaptation of a book into a film, if you had to pick one?
If I had to pick one, The End of the Affair, the Graham Greene novel, because the film Neil Jordan made it, who did The Crying Game, came out early 2000, and the film is remarkable, dealing with faith and miracles, but also the book, which was made many decades earlier, is so textured and so moving. So it's almost a case that the film works in its own right, and the novel works in its own right, but you don't need to see them as, often like the Da Vinci Code, my view, not very good, because I loved reading the book, but the film just felt like, it almost said, now turn to the next page. It felt very by the numbers. So I love it when a film and a book stand on their own 2 feet.
Absolutely. We haven't got too much time left, but I just wanted to sort of say that oftentimes we can almost forget that there's a book behind the film because they're so iconic. I've got some here that, I feel guilty almost for forgetting about the books. The Hunger Games, I read the book, then watched the film, but whenever I think about it, you only think about Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, very true. And I have a confession to make. The number of times I've watched a film, Cider House Rules is one example, when I've enjoyed the film so much, I've then gone back to the source novel. So many people will say, oh, there's a film of my favourite novel. I do it in reverse. Confession though, Cider House Rules, such a long book by John Irving, I was halfway through. And in the end, the film came out in the cinema, so I watched the film while I was halfway through reading the book. And I didn't intend to, but it was sprawling, but brilliant.
Absolutely. And a little fun fact before we go, Pirates of the Caribbean, I was told, is actually based on a theme park ride.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you that fun fact. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have. See you very soon. Good night.